Well, now I'm your host, Lambo Drew, and you are now tuned into another edition of The Leverage Show. Thank y'all for tapping in another edition for Miss Tracy Taris to come back to The Leverage Show. It's going to be amazing. I know you guys do not want to miss it, so make sure y'all are sharing this link to everybody you can possibly get it to. I'm telling you, if y'all heard it from the last time, y'all are definitely going to be excited to go ahead and hear from him again for round two back on The Leverage Show tonight. Before we go ahead and allow Tracy to come on, we will tap in and see who's in the broadcast and who's in the chats tonight. So glad y'all are in here. Lambo Drew, my guy Ken for the win, man. That's exactly the type of energy. I love that you're bringing. My friend LA Law is always on point. I said this to LA Law and Ken because I did see Ken out there literally beforehand, and YouTube's algorithms. I don't know what's going on with their algorithms, but hey, don't worry about it. We are making sure. I went on ahead and showed my guy Ken some love earlier, so you know what time it is on the Leverage Show. LA Law says, hi, Ken. Hi, Drew. Good to see you. Good to see you, LA Law. I see you in the building. Thank you for tapping in each and every single week and truly showing love. I'm telling y'all this right now. This is going to be a great broadcast. And y'all do not want to miss it for whatsoever. My baby is in the building. Hello, everyone, man. Shout out to my wifey, y'all. Y'all give my wifey a big round of applause for Tuesday night, man, coming on to the Leverage Show, making her debut in front of a camera, and she did an awesome job. She rocked out. Definitely thank each and every single one of y'all for all the love, man, that was shown for Valentine's Day. We came on and went spent it with you guys almost 2 hours on the show. Thank y'all for all the love. We dropped a lot of love, man. I told y'all this week was going to be on love and relationships and all that great stuff. Thank y'all for all the feedback from the text messages, the emails, the inboxes, the personal phone calls that y'all actually did for Tuesday night. I'm telling y'all this right now. It truly was a blessing, and it definitely helped bless and change my life. And then we had a great time after the show. We did go ahead and do dinner at a great spot called the Hideaway Steakhouse, which was truly amazing. Had some one-on-one great time and just enjoyed ourselves. So again, after we fed y'all, we literally went on ahead and left here and went fed ourselves. So that's the way that couples and everything get out here and start winning with each other. So shout out to my wifey and everything for all the support that you did. You did an amazing job. Can't wait to have you back on the Leverage Show again doing your thing. Ma, love you, girl. All right. JT is in the building. Lambo Drew in the house. Shout out to you, JT. I see you in the building. Thank you, JT. You know what time it is. I can't wait to go on ahead and get this show started. Listen, I'm trying to tell y'all this right now. It's going to be a great show tonight. Y'all want to make sure that y'all are tapped in and really rocking. Oh, tonight, I must also read out the winners. Hold on. I want to read out those winners from the show with Don real quick. Do y'all have a little second before we bring Miss Tracy on and I get this? The winners list from the one that Don picked over a week ago, my guy Don LaPlume. He picked it Monday night. Here we go. Number one on the list who won the oceanfront property. Shout out to LA Law. You are the number one winner for the oceanfront property. So shout out to you, LA Law. Man, Don came over and gave away $25,000 worth of property in the metaverse. So shout out to Don LaPlume and everything coming out here, blessing us. And that's number one. So LA Law, you are the number one winner for the oceanfront property. I will make sure that we go on ahead and reach out to you for that. Number two on the list. It goes to my wife, Renata Johnson. Shout out to my wife for getting the business district lot for my guy, Don LaPlume, man, in the Megaverse. Truly, it's an amazing spot. Number three on the list. Y'all ready to hear this? Shout out to you, Jamal Titus and Tammy Titus. Tammy Titus, you got number three. Number three on the list, Tammy Titus 1, which is the wife of Jamal Titus. Super amazing. Number 4 on the list, who got a kiosk. My cousin, Errol Malanas, man. Shout out to you, Errol Malanas. You got number 4 on the list. Number 5 on the list was Larry Keith. Shout out to my guy, Larry, the lion in the building. You got number 5 on the list. Number 6 on the list was Cynthia Davis. Number 6 on the list, Miss Cynthia Davis. Shout out to you, Miss Cynthia Davis. And number 7th on the list, how did I even know that this is going to be him? Mr. Jamal Titus, a.k.a. Jamal Molly Ball in the building, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen, those were the winners. If I called your name, make sure that you guys get out there. Y'all reach out to me. I will make sure y'all will connect y'all with Don and get it right and stuff like that. So, all right. So I'm trying to tell y'all this right now. Number one, oceanfront property went to LA Law. You got the highest out of them all. So shout out to you, LA Law. I told you, thank you for tapping in. Number two went to the business district for my wife. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My wife in the building showing love. Number three went to Tammy Titus, which is a kiosk. Number four, a kiosk went to Era Milanas. Number five, a kiosk went to Larry Keith. Number six, a kiosk went to Cynthia Davis. And number seven, my main man, 3M, Jamal Titus, definitely was in the building. Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all. Listen. What happened was, I guess there was also a mix-up with the email. So Don actually had quite a few more to give out. Some of y'all sent out y'all information to the wrong email that didn't even get over, and I actually seen that. So make sure you guys reach out to me. We're going to see if Don and everything, man, can go ahead and do a few more. There was 3 more other ones. So if y'all didn't email, make sure that y'all are definitely sending that email out so we can get y'all right, and we can see what we can do with y'all. And yeah, that's definitely a blessing for those and everything, man, who got there and won. Thank y'all that y'all got there and won. Look, I'm seeing y'all all in the chats. Y'all are truly amazing. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm going to get back to this so we can bring Miss Tracy on, but I wanted to give those congratulations for all of y'all who won. LA Law says and everything, man. Shout out to you, LA Law, again, that number one winner, getting that oceanfront property in the metaverse space. Hi, Mrs. Johnson and Jamal. Thank you, LA Law. You know what time it is. My guy QP is in the house, man. I'm in the house tonight, Lambo. Shout out to you, Cutin. You already know, man, I love seeing you in the house, and I know you love dropping the knowledge that Miss Tracy is actually coming to the show with. So thank you for that. Money is in the building. Hello with the big old hearts. I see you in the building, Money. Shout out to you each and every single week. There goes my guy, Kennard Haney. You already see my guy. Hi, LA Law, showing you love right back, making it do what it do. Hi, Money, and hi, Kennard. LA Law is showing love right back. QP says, LA Law, Ken, what's up, man? You know what time it is. LA Law says, I missed Tuesday. I will definitely have to catch the replay. Yes. Go back, catch that replay. Definitely did an amazing job with my beautiful bride at my side. QP say, great job, Miss Queen Lambo. Yes, she did an amazing job. Shout out and everything, man, to the bride doing what she do best. Blue Sky said, good evening, good Thursday evening. Yeah, good Thursday evening. Shout out that you expressed that to everyone in the Lambo congregation. Peace, love, and upward mobility. Yes, we're rolling stone. Thank you, Blue Sky. We'll definitely be out there in that VA area to come visit y'all as well. Blue Sky say, peace, Lady Lambo. You know what time it is. Fro say, hi, you got this. Shout out to you, Fro. I see you in the building. Oh, y'all in the chats tonight. Thank y'all. Y'all coming out, showing out for Miss Tracy. That's what I love to see. Hi, Blue Sky. Hi, Fro. Showing love. You know what time it is. Fro says a big hello. Shout out to you, Fro. I see you in the building another night. Thank you. My baby says LA Law and Blue Sky, showing love right back to them. LA Law, good evening from Blue Sky. My baby says congratulations, LA Law. Big congratulations on that, LA Law. Getting that top spot. You know what time it is. My guy Kennard Haney gives a big congrats to LA Law. Blue Sky gives a big congrats to LA Law. Kennard gives a big congratulations to my wife and my wife. Yes, Blue Sky. Congrats, Mrs. Johnson. Definitely doing it right. Sorry, LA Law and Blue Sky. You know what time it is. Don't worry about it. Baby, you on the leverage show. You good to go. You know that. Blue Sky said, congrats, the Titus family. Yes, the husband and wife both turned around and won, so that's truly amazing. I'm looking side-eye at Ken and some of the rest of y'all, and Blue Sky and some of the rest of y'all who out there. Don't worry about it. We're going to get y'all emails together so y'all can get y'all stuff right. But shout out to y'all anyway. Kennard Haney said, congratulations, Tammy, Titus, and Earl. You know what time it is. LA Law said, thanks so much. Congrats, everyone. Thank you, LA Law, for you actually getting out there, participating in it. I'm trying to tell y'all, if you got to play to win. So make sure y'all put y'all information in. I will drop that email one more time, and I'm going to make sure that Don gets the rest of these names because there was a bunch of names and people who emailed me and everything else who actually didn't even get the chance to get over. So shout out for that. Kennard Haney said, congratulations, Cynthia Davis, and congratulations, 3M. Those two have definitely made it up the charts. So shout out to those two for definitely taking home some prizes. My cousin's in the building. Shout out to you, number 4. Thanks. I appreciate that. Cuz, you're so welcome. I'll make sure I connect you guys with my guy down to make sure y'all got to pick your prizes up and get y'all stuff right. Blue Sky say, congrats, Cynthia Davis. You know what time it is. Everybody's got to go ahead and show some love. My wife is saying, congratulations, everyone. You know what time it is. My Blue Sky say, congrats, man. My man, Larry Keith. You know what time it is. Showing love and everything, man, to my boy, Larry. And my baby says, man, you know what time it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, hey, listen, we are here to be the community, to make sure that we strengthen each other as much as we possibly can. Every guest we bring on the show is truly amazing, and we truly love and adore their time, their talents, their professions, everything that God has placed on their life. And this is what the Leverage Show is about. That's why it's a theme for me to talk about our next guest that we're bringing up to the show, who's returning from 2 months ago of rocking down the house on the Leverage Show so much. To literally, look, I got my book. I hope all of y'all got my book. Look, Lambo got his physical copy book right here, right here. This is no cap, right here, of this next guest who literally went on ahead and tore it down. If you didn't get your books yet, make sure you guys grab a copy of this book, because me and my wife got to go on ahead and chance to dig into this, and it was amazing. And I'm telling y'all this right now, she's going to come with even more amazing treasures that God has truly blessed her with and literally put on her heart with to come and bless the Leverage Show. Without further ado, for those and everything, man, who know her, we welcome her back. And let's give a warm welcome to Miss Tracy Taris, down from my hometown in Louisiana, back to the Leverage Show again. Welcome, Miss Tracy.
Hi, Lambo. How are you?
Life is beautiful.
For having me here.
Hey, you know you coming back. Miss Tracy is here literally like every couple other months now. So shout out to this. Miss Tracy coming on the Leverage Show and making herself a warm guest on the show and finding her home here on the Leverage Show. So thank you, Miss Tracy, for this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You know we can't wait to have you back again, Miss Tracy. Come on now. You know what time it is. LA Law says, welcome back. My wifey says, welcome back, Tracy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we cannot wait to hear what has been on your mind. Tell us how you've been doing. We want to hear all that good stuff since the last time, because you truly have been amazing and a blessing to our lives in the show.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I've been working. You guys know that I have a private practice here in California where I see people, individuals, couples, and families to provide psychotherapy to help people navigate their lives and get things that's in the way of them living their best life out, to help them navigate any mental health issues that's going on, whether it's anxiety, relational problems, depression, anxiety, or social anxiety. That seems to be a big one. A lot of people are navigating loneliness. You know, their loneliness was kind of an epidemic, so to speak, even before COVID. But I think COVID kind of pushed people that were kind of hunkering down further in. So there's a lot of different things that come up here in the practice. So I'm very busy with that. And so are all of the therapists. I have other therapists and interns who work here. And so we've just been helping people with their lives and to get on the page that they want to get onto, to get on the page that God created them to be on, and things like that. But one of the most fun things I've been doing is I kind of been on like a little book tour. It's mostly been online, where I've been on podcasts and radio shows and things like that, and just promoting the book and talking about the book. And that has been a lot of fun. And it actually spurred me on to start working on my second book. So I'm almost done with the proposal. You know, in nonfiction, you have to write a proposal, which means you talk about what the book will cover and, you know, why you're the person to write this book. And then the first 3 chapters. So I'm almost done. I'm working. I did all of the, I've completed all the beginning parts of it, the objective and all that stuff. And now I'm working on the first 3 chapters. So.
Oh, well, see, you are rocking. You are rocking a whole nother level, Miss Tracy. So shout out to Miss Tracy. Miss Tracy, as y'all see, stays busy. So we love and appreciate and adore it. And so you're literally writing more to, you can write novels, I want to say, for all of us, Miss Tracy. So shout out to you and everything for doing some amazing things and really helping shape the culture out here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you. Well, listen, you know, we started the week and everything, man, with me and my wife on the broadcast of doing love and relationships. I literally would love to know the topic about tonight, man, and what you truly want to speak on tonight, man, to some of these people, man, who are out here definitely maybe struggling with a few of these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we talked about discussing communication. Like communication is a lost art form, and people lose their way within themselves because they find it difficult to communicate. And then with couples, they lose their way to each other, like they get lost in the dark because they both have something that they want to communicate or something that's on their mind, but they're communicating like this and missing each other. And a lot of times when people end up separating or getting a divorce, it's not always something big like infidelity or, money issues. It's just that slow drip, that constant drip that kind of erodes the foundation of the relationship and end up eroding the relationship. They say Grand Canyon was made by water, like a drip of water, and just by the Colorado River just kind of flowing through it for thousands of years. And so that communication underlies most of the problems. Like any problem that you have, it started, more than likely started with communication, and then it morphs into something bigger than you can handle on your own. And so one of the tools that I would like to present tonight, it's called the 3 wishes tools. It's not something that I made up. I've added to it, but it's something from an assessment that I use when I'm treating couples, whereby they will go online and answer questions about their experience of the relationship. And this assessment tool will kind of diagnose what's going on, whether they are a vitalized couple, a couple that's harmonious, a couple that's in conflict, or devitalized. And there's another category, it'll come to me later, but it's like 5 different categories that you would fall into. And those categories are based on your strengths and growth areas. And your strengths are, what are we doing well? And the growth areas are basically weaknesses, but they call them growth areas to keep it kind of positive and encouraging, and to let people know that, you can grow in it. So it looks at things like communication, conflict, stress, parenting, sex, finances, family of origin issues, like all of these things that are factors in the health and the success of your relationship. So one of the tools that I use is something called 3 wishes, whereby I help couples learn how to communicate with one another. And I was hoping to share that with some of your viewers tonight and your listeners.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to hear about that tonight. I know I am. I know everybody else is out there excited to hear about that because I'm trying to tell you this right now. I did not know until, and you're way more professional than what I am, until me and my wife were doing our research. And we're doing research for a Tuesday night show. And I'm looking at all of this and I'm like, if Tracy has to do the research to all of this, and all we did it was a few pages, I'm like, we're definitely all going to be taking advice from Miss Tracy Taris when she comes back to the show. So yeah, we're ecstatic to kind of hear about this because a lot of people around this time, we know Valentine's Day just came over, and there are a lot of people either dealing with either single stage, they're dating, courting, or they're dealing in married life. And some areas between each one of them, we can all learn from some of these trips that you're actually going to talk with us tonight. So we're eager to hear about it, Miss Tracy.
Okay.
Yeah. So take it away. Let us know. Do you need to go on ahead and pick on someone out there in the audience tonight? No, I'm just playing. We don't need you to pick on nobody in the audience tonight. But we would love to hear exactly what the list looks like, what the qualities looks like, and how can we spot some of these things that can actually help us out.
Okay, so for the listeners, if you have a piece of paper and a pencil, I want you to feel free to write down some of the things that I'm going to say about communication, and then write down how this tool works. because I use it often in my practice. And whenever I first teach it to a couple, I assign homework for them to use it at home so that they can learn, how to communicate well. So
Okay.
where I usually start is I give the information that communication hasn't really occurred until the message sent is the one
Mm,
that is received. Because what
mm,
ends up happening is one person will bring an issue to the table for discussion. And so
mhm.
that person is a communicator. And then one person will receive the information. And
Right.
so what ends up happening is whatever is brought to the table, the listener will often land on one thing in that communication and then start thinking of a rebuttal or thinking of an excuse or a reason why or something to come back with instead of listening to the entire communication. And so for us to be on the same page, there's two components.
Mm,
One component of communication is assertiveness, and
mhm,
assertiveness is just simply stating what it is you want to state in a direct and respectful manner. Most when communication goes awry, it's because the person bringing the communication is probably not being assertive. The person may
mm,
be being passive,
mhm,
like, or passive aggressive, where you say one thing and mean another, or you're saying something, but not giving the full picture and expecting your partner or expecting the listener to understand you. Passive is, oh, you're right. You're always right. I'm always wrong. And just kind of taking the martyr perspective. And then aggressive is, yelling and shouting,
mhm,
cursing, or even pushing and shoving when aggressive gets out of hand or gets, way up there. So in order to communicate, you have to be assertive. And if you don't know how to be assertive, there are different books out there and ways to learn that. But the key component of assertiveness is stating what you want in a direct manner, but in a respectful manner. And so direct means you're not beating around the bush. You're not, giving this big story when really there's just one thing that you want to say. And it's also choosing one thing. Like whenever you want to talk with one another in your marriage or in your dating relationship, you want to land on one thing that you want to cover at a time. It doesn't mean that the whole conversation has to be on that one thing, but until you are great at communicating with one another, it's a good idea to start with one thing. And
mm,
so you bring the communication. And then the second component is called active and reflective listening. And so
mm,
active listening means exactly what it says, where you're actively listening to the words that's coming out of the person's mouth. You're not landing on one thing that they said and then start dreaming up your rebuttal. So you have to be careful of that. And if you catch yourself doing that,
mm.
go back to what the person is saying. Even if you have to say, I'm sorry, could you repeat that
Yeah.
again, so that you can get back into the active listening stance. And then once the person has communicated what they wanted to say, the reflective listening part means that you reflect back what you heard. And so what that looks like is, so what I hear you're saying is this.
Mm,
And then you want to ask, did I get that right? Like when I'm teaching this tool to my couples, I encourage them to repeat back exactly what they heard
mm,
until they're able to sum up. Because a lot of times when we sum up, we're summing up different various aspects of what's been communicated or different parts, but then we're not really hearing everything. So you want to reflect back. So what I heard you say is you're hoping that we can spend more time together.
mhm,
Did I get that right? And then
mhm,
if you didn't get it right, the communicator will say, no, this is what I said.
mm,
I said that I would like it if we went on a date every Saturday night. So that could sound like spend more time together, because if you do go on a date every Saturday night, you are spending more time together.
yeah.
The reason you want to be specific is the more specific you are, the less chance of it going left.
Yeah. Yeah.
The less chance of it going left. And until you are in a situation where, as a couple, your communication is relatively smooth, both of you feel pretty understood, then I would say just make it small and make it specific and just stay on task. So if you've listened and you repeat back what you heard your partner say, and then your partner says, yes, you got that right. You as the receiver, the second part of this is you want to ask, how would you feel about our relationship if this wish came true? So let's say the wish was, I wish that we would, not watch TV while we're having dinner, and that we would have dinner at the table so that we can talk about our day.
Yeah.
And so the receiver might say something like, so what I hear you're saying is you think it's a waste of time to watch TV after work, or a waste of time to watch TV in the evening. And so can you see how that could end up in an argument? Because it's not what the person said. The communicator would say something like, that's not what I said.
Yeah.
And typically what happens is the couple will go off on a tangent and argue about what wasn't said and what wasn't meant, instead of getting back to what was actually said. So if the partner said, so you think it's a waste of time to watch TV every night and we need to be eating at the table, did I get that right? The communicator would say, no. What I said was, I would like it if instead of watching TV while eating, we would have dinner at the table so that we can, connect, and so that we can discuss our day. And so then the person would reflect it back and say, so what I hear you're saying is you want us to end our day or have dinner at the dinner table in front of the TV. Did I get that right? And so then the communicator would say, yes, you got that right. And so then the receiver would move on to the next part, because you can't move to the next part until you get it right. Because again, communication hasn't happened until the message sent, I want to have dinner at the table instead of in front of the TV, is the message that is received. And you can only know that your partner received it if they're able to reflect back what you said. So if the message is sent and received, then the receiver will ask, how would that make you feel about our relationship if this wish came true? So then the communicator, I usually ask them to think of 2 or 3 emotion words that would represent how they would feel. So the communicator might say something like, I would feel connected. I would feel safe, because sometimes I have a bad day at work and you're the safest place that I can talk about it with. Or I would feel heard, or all 3 of those. And so then the receiver would reflect back what he or she heard and state, so what I hear you're saying is, like, if they were to say something like, so you would feel more important to me if I listened to you. Did I get that right? The communicator would say, no, that's not what I said. And they would repeat back that I would feel connected, heard, and safe. And so then the receiver would reflect back what they heard until they get it right. And then once they get it right, and the communicator says, yes, you've got that right, the receiver would then ask, what can I do to make this wish come true? And so then the communicator would name, I always encourage people to name a behavior, and just one at a time. It can be 2, but until you feel like you can proficiently have communications that do not escalate into conflict or do not go left and you guys end up arguing about stuff that wasn't even brought up, to keep it simple and keep it, small. So the communicator might say something like, all right, so let's start with 3 times a week, like maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Instead of having our dinner watching Lost or whatever it is, Greenleaf, whatever it is we're watching, let's have dinner at the table and then check in about our day. And so then the receiver would reflect back what he or she heard and say something like, so you want us to watch TV every night instead of, you want us to eat instead of watching TV every night. Did I get that right? No.
Correct.
I said, I would like if we can start off with 3 days a week, where perhaps Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, we have dinner at the table instead. And so then the receiver would reflect back what they heard, ask if they got that right. And then when they get it right, then that's the end of the communication. So the communication that was sent is the one that was received. And active and reflective listening keeps the communicator from going off into all of these tangents, and it keeps you tied into what your partner is saying, because
Mm,
you have to reflect it back, you
yeah,
know, and so it's going to force you to listen to the words that's coming out of their mouth, because our brain is designed to listen for problems.
yeah,
And so the minute you perceive that there's a problem and your spouse asking you to have dinner at the table every night instead of watching TV, you as the listener can turn that into all kinds of stuff that the person isn't even
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
so what I usually tell the communicators, when your partner grants this wish, the first time they do, make sure you give proper praise, because the one of the things that defeats the brain's tendency to look for problems in the negative is more positive. So when we get feedback that's positive, when we get kudos, it makes us automatically want to do it more, you know.
wow. So, I truly think that breakdown is what
Mhm.
causes a lot of arguments, like you said, because I think, and this is truth. I mean, you've got way more experience than me, but I think that most of the time that we are in so much of a rush are so much in our own mind state that they don't take the time to look at the
Mhm.
partner and
Yeah,
listen to them out. Not just listen, oh yeah, I heard you, but really listen to them out. And I think that that's a huge communication breakdown between that. And yeah, more people at this point are like, okay, what did you say again?
yeah,
I heard all of that, but what did you really say?
yeah.
And that reflecting back like that, I mean, have you seen that exercise has helped out a lot of marriages and people dating and people being able to communicate a lot more?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, it helps people to feel heard and understood, and it shows that you're interested in what your partner has to say. It shows that you're taking the time to engage. And this kind of took a few minutes, but it really takes 5-10 minutes to get through. Like once you
Yeah,
learn the tool and once you're using it, and the thing about it, Drew, is almost everyone is using some version of this at
yeah,
work,
yeah,
because at work you want to get the communication right, you want to know what it is that's being asked of you, you want to make sure that you do it right, so you check in to make sure that what is being asked for is what you are going to address and provide. So if we can do it in a professional setting,
yeah,
then we can do it in our most intimate relationship. So I usually tell couples to practice this with one another and then
mm,
practice it with the children. Let
oh,
the
good,
children be a part of this, because they want to feel heard, that they want to feel safe, they want to feel understood as well. And when you can model that you're doing that within your marriage, and then you start doing that within your children and in your family system, then all the better. It
yeah.
becomes a way of the whole household communicating, not just with each other, but out there as well.
And in your profession, do you see that that's a huge breakdown when, because and I've seen it like where couples will group themselves off from the kids and kind of distance themselves where they will just communicate. And
Yeah.
then hopefully one of the other partners can try to communicate to the kids, and the kids don't even get heard at that point.
Yeah.
Neither is there a big communication between back and forth where there's an understanding between the parents as well as the kids in the household. And I've seen that. And then you hear the kids say, hey, you don't know me, and
Yeah.
they're telling
Mhm.
that back to the parents. You don't know me that well, probably because the parents, and again, you're the professional, I'm just Lambo Drew. But
Mhm.
the parents are looking at it as if, hey, this is my thoughts, these are my opinions, these are my ways. I will give you the time when you can speak or when it
Mhm.
is important for me to really
Mhm.
pay attention to that. Do you think that disconnect allows families to start having more of a breakdown, from the top all the way down?
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's many reasons that people um, do that. There's many
Mhm.
reasons like that people compartmentalize. One is like what you're talking about, where you're a child, stay in the child's place.
Yep.
I heard that a lot,
Yeah.
growing up, that, keep your nose out of adults' business
Yeah.
and, things like that. So some people have those kinds of thoughts where, you're a child, stay in the child's place. either because the child is a child or because they don't want to overwhelm the child with adult concerns. Some people compartmentalize because, especially if there's something going on in the marriage that's causing friction and tension, they don't want their children to know that. But the thing I always tell couples is, as much as you think you're hiding it, as much as you think that they don't know, they do know.
Yeah.
Because they pick up on the energy between the two of you. And so, and then they're going to try to start listening. And
Yes.
it's not that they're being nosy or they're not in the child's place. Their amygdala, like we have in our brain, it's broken up into compartments. And then there's the prefrontal cortex, which doesn't fully develop until you're 25. And then there's the limbic system. And so the prefrontal cortex is responsible for thinking, judging, organizing, all of the things that we need to do to get through life. And the limbic system is the part for emotions and relationships. And there's a little piece of the brain inside the limbic system called the amygdala.
Okay.
And the amygdala's job is responsible for scanning for safety 24/7. So even when you're sleeping, the amygdala is scanning to see if you're safe. That's why if you're sleeping and your child comes and stands over your bed in the middle of the night, before they even wake you up, your amygdala wakes you up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to the child, if they sense that tension, they're going to start listening because their amygdala is scanning for safety. And if you guys are not all right, then they feel like they're not all right. So they'll listen, they'll eavesdrop to see what's going on. Again, not because they're nosy. It may be part of that, but mostly because they want to know if they're safe. Because if mom and dad are okay, then they're okay. So, and even if you're like whispering, especially if you start whispering, like if you're talking normal and then start whispering, that's a big clue right there that something might not be right. And so they'll start, trying to hear. So the best thing you can do is not necessarily share your business with them, because after all, it is your business. It is your, as man and wife, that it's your, whatever's going on is between the two of you. So you don't have to share specifics. But if they heard something, you can clarify in an age appropriate way what it is they heard. But the biggest message you want to give to them is that it's normal for people to have not fights, or maybe fights. It's normal for people to have
disagreements.
Conflict. It's normal. Yeah, it's normal for people to not see eye to eye, but don't worry about it. We're working on it. We're discussing it and we're working on it, to just give them that heads up, to let them know that life isn't perfect and our family certainly is not perfect. And we do have problems, but we're in this together and we're working it out, and it might be okay to model maybe some low level working things out, like in the kitchen, like where you allow them to be in the kitchen or the dining room where they can hear, but they hear you guys low key working out some low level issues, nothing big, because that's just going to mess with their amygdala. But low key things,
And see, but I think that's so key, because me and my wife, and I'm gonna go two ways with this question. Me and my wife, we were doing the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, right? And she's doing the little is that little pamphlet or whatever that they have for the 5 Love Languages, right? And she's reading them out loud. Now, we hadn't did this in years. My kids were actually answering all of the questions on there. Like, nah, mom's like this, and you're like this. And she's looking like, how do you know how I am? And I'm laughing at it because the kids had, like you said, have picked up. And they know, they see from a distance, or they see like, hey, mom is this way. She's this way, like, and dad. And they sat there the entire time. And we're laughing at it because she was only answering like maybe 25% of it. The kids were answering the other 75% of it. And I'm like, this is the most hilarious thing that I've ever seen. So kids understand that and they pick up on that. And there's a movie that recently came out. Did you see it? It's called The Reading. What, Monique? Did you see that?
What is it called?
The Reading. Like somebody's doing like almost like palm reading or whatever or something.
Oh, yeah. No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's called The Reading. It's on BET. Again, for me, it's an emotional type of thing that a person was dealing with the mental battle. And for those and everything, man, who's out there, like I said, you're gonna have different reviews about it. The movie was comedic, everything at times. I felt like at times my wife can tell you, like I just wasted almost 2 hours of my time by listening to it. But looking through the message of that movie and seeing it, and I won't give it away or nothing like that to anybody who's going out there to go see it. But the comedian Monique is in there, and I mean, I'm telling you what, the mental thoughts of how people play out things is just—it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
I think that so many people they battle with these things and they don't never get the help that they really need so that they can actually be a lot more healthier.
Yeah.
And I've seen people damaging their families more, damaging their kids more. And that movie, like, literally intakes of that, of damaging your kids more because no one was there to help you out and actually really see through some of those signs because there was a communication breakdown between the parents, which wound up leading to the kids, which untimely, which was definitely the demise of a lot of people.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to see it now that you've described it like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like the kind of movie that they make us watch in graduate school. Like when we're
Yeah.
figuring out family systems and, how to help people navigate their emotions and navigate mental health systems. They use movies a lot where we have to look at the movie and diagnose what's going on or kind of conceptualize or theorize what may be happening. And that movie sounds like it would be
it
a good
it was
candidate.
it was interesting, even the state of how how we deal with things, Tracy. We deal with things totally different in the supernatural and the spirit. And then there's gifts and everything, man, that we understand that God gives people gifts as well as the devil can give people gifts. And there was a part where they were like, what are they doing, palm readings or whatever, and they were trying to channel whatever that type of energy was in there. Uh,
Mm,
but it actually showed, even in, I tell people the prophetic window happens and everything, man, whether it's open for good or whether it's open for negative. And you have to understand what direction or what dimension or what spirit you actually play in
yeah.
when you entertain that. And that person was able to see what really happened than what was really being told to the police and everybody else.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's one of those things that definitely will keep you on a cliffhanger and stuff like that.
Well, I'll definitely check it out and see, what it's all about. But you're right. Like you do have to be, there is a physical realm and there is a spirit realm. I remember reading this book called Seeing the Unseen, and it talked about how in the United States, people don't really pay as much attention to the spirit realm as they do in other state and in other countries,
Yeah,
and one of the things he said that was interesting was um what was it, in other countries the manifestation of this is a lot higher because
yeah,
people know that it's there,
yeah,
whereas here it's the manifestation is high but people write it off as something else or they rationalize it, and things like that. So you really do have to be careful when messing around because God says don't consult these things for a reason. Like
mhm,
he's not saying it because it doesn't exist.
yeah,
Like, I don't believe in leprechauns and the Bible doesn't say anything about leprechauns,
yeah,
probably because there aren't any. I think that's like a folk whatever, but it does talk about other things like demons and the spirit realm and
mhm,
not messing around with certain like witchcraft and certain necromancy arts and things like that for a reason,
yeah,
because it isn't all about the solid. It's
yeah,
about what you can't see as well.
yeah,
And
yeah,
even science is catching up to the idea that what we can't see is way bigger than what we can see. Like
yeah,
someone looked at an atom and said that the space between whatever particles are on the atom is like 999.99. Like there's all this space in between one atom and another,
mm,
and I
yeah,
can't really talk about it, effectively. It was just something that just kind of blew my mind,
Yeah.
but I don't know enough about it to, speak to it. But just the idea that the unseen is way bigger than
Yeah.
what we can see,
Yeah.
and that should
Yeah.
be respected.
Yeah. At all times for that. And now, do you think that because of, and I want to kind of go this direction. I mean, you're talking about these A's and us being able to exercise those A's. Do you think sometimes that not all of it is mental? Sometimes it may be spiritual that they may be playing with and entertaining, where there is a blockage, where the focus and everything may not be between two people or a family or another person that they're talking to.
Well, Ephesians 6 talks about, our battle is not against, flesh and blood.
Hmm.
So what is God talking about in there? It's against, the spirit and the authorities in the heavenly realms.
Hmm.
The heavenly realms are often the unseen realms. Like in this book, Seeing the Unseen, he talked about how there's heaven, like heaven where God's throne
Hmm.
is, and how there's the sky, like, like that you can see. And he was saying that a lot of these spirit, like fallen angels and, spirit
Hmm.
beings and things like that, they are kind of like operating there. And then there's Earth, the planet Earth. And I'm
Hmm.
just saying what I read,
Yeah.
like look it up and do research. It seems like he did a heck of a lot of research on this. And then there's the underworld, like, hell and things like that. So, absolutely there is a lot that's going on that we can't see. Like in my book, Many Voices, One Truth, I talk, because a lot of ministers will talk about Ephesians 6,
Hmm.
10 through 20, where it talks about the spiritual battle.
Hmm.
But in the book, I mention Ephesians 6, 10 through 20, but I ask my reader to look at Ephesians 6, 1 through 9, because it's talking about the different roles of the family,
Hmm.
and, what each member of it's talking about family relationships and how
Hmm.
they should be working and interacting with each other. And so in my book, I hypothesize that perhaps one of the entry points for all this spiritual stuff to come in and mess with people begins in the family. Because
Mm.
if your family is on straight and your family is, your communication is smooth and you are respecting and loving one another, then it doesn't really open up a big door for a lot of that spiritual stuff,
Mhm.
to happen. I think in the book I use an example of a woman that might come to therapy for anorexia
Mhm.
nervosa. And anorexia nervosa is when you eat and then you throw up so that
Yeah.
you don't gain any weight or
Yeah.
whatever. And so I talk about like what her home life may have looked like. Perhaps, father was an alcoholic and he
Mhm.
came home and beat up mom. The
Mhm.
client, being the oldest daughter at the time, might see that, okay, if I help mom get the house together and the siblings together, then maybe dad won't come home and yell at her and beat her up or yell at us. And so she'll start making things perfect around the house so that he has no reason to come home and fight and fuss, right? And
Yeah.
that'll work for a time. But what ends up happening is after a time, it won't work. And
Yeah.
it doesn't work not because she's not good enough or she's not helping mom enough or she's not keeping the siblings straight enough. It escalates because his alcoholism escalates.
Mm.
And so whatever he used to present at home, over time, it gets worse. But the girl doesn't see that. What she thinks is she has to be better and she has to do more. And so then
Mm.
she takes that into her adult life. And then her adult life starts getting out of control because you can't control other people. Like she
Yeah.
tricked herself into thinking she was controlling dad's response to mom and dad's response to her and her sibling by keeping the house neat and helping mom get food on the table. And then she's trying to do that in her adult life where, people are not going to be controlled. And so what she ends up doing is engaging into some kind of behavior that she can control. And maybe that's eating and
Mm.
purging, like binge eating and purging and things like that. And so when we're working together, like when she comes in for therapy, she comes in because you know, the anorexia starts getting out of hand. It starts, getting in the way of her ability to function. She might start getting sick. But in working with her, the surface level of the healing is, oh, I'm throwing up and stuff because I'm comparing myself to others at work. I think in the book it's a teenage girl. So she's comparing herself to others at school, and she wants to be thin and pretty like the other girls. That's the surface level of healing. A deeper level of healing might be that she feels like she's not good enough, or she has to work in order to keep things perfect or whatever. But really, the deeper truth, the unconscious healing that a lot of times, unfortunately, Lambo, I don't even get to with people, because any therapy you do or any work you do on any issue you have, you will find relief.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people will do is, instead of continuing in the process to get deeper and deeper, they'll just stop,
Yeah.
because any kind of help is will bring relief. So they stop at relief, or they stop at the subconscious level of the help, which says, oh, I'm doing this because I want everything to be perfect,
Yeah.
or I don't feel good enough unless everything is perfect. But really, the deeper truth in this example is that the girl does not feel worthy of love. And the reason
Yeah.
she doesn't feel worthy of love is because dad would come home and beat up mom and yell at her and her siblings. So until she can get to that deep truth that I don't feel worthy of love because of what, my father did, then she'll end up keep engaging. And a lot of times people will find healing for a specific problem, but then that problem keeps remanifesting itself or popping up. And it's because you got answers at the conscious level and maybe even the subconscious level, but you didn't really get down to the root of the problem. And the root always has to do with something you think or believe or feel about yourself. Always, you know?
Wow. So, man, I mean, we can go so many different ways with this one. So being that with dealing with love and relationships. So if people in this space, especially in this week, and they see all of this fictions of what love is and what they believe love is,
Mm-hmm.
do you believe that there's a lot of people, man, they're scared to love again? They're scared to continue to move on because they're hurt so deep to where it's to the core. It may have made them a lot bitter towards
Yeah.
people or towards things from whatever circumstances.
Absolutely. Like people may have loved once and gotten hurt and just are afraid to feel that again. So they shut themselves away. But I believe that a lot of the fear comes from what we call the soul wounds. And I
Mm,
think these soul wounds come from interactions that Ephesians 1 through 9 is talking about, but are not happening in
mm,
the home. And the 5 soul wounds are abandonment, rejection, humiliation, injustice, and I always forget the fifth one. But those soul wounds are like almost any wound, any kind of emotional wound. You go to therapy, you do some work, you get some help with it. But the soul wounds are really tough because they
mm,
go to the core of the person and who the world has told the person they are, whether the world is your parents, or being at school, being in college, or the workforce. Because what will happen is a lot of us enter into adult life or even just college years with
mm,
some of these soul wounds,
mm,
you know and we don't know how to navigate the world with it, and we don't get the help that we need even when we do go to therapy. Like a lot of times soul wounds, because there's such an unconscious thing,
yeah.
that third level of healing, that deeper level of healing, sometimes you don't even get to it. And so a lot of times when you see people are fearing taking that chance, it's not that they fear they're going to get hurt. They fear that that rejection is going to be re-triggered, or that abandonment, or that humiliation, especially if you were in a relationship and the person cheated on you, and all these people found out before you could, and things like that.
Mm,
So it runs really deep. And I think that if you are single and thinking of dating, or even if you're married and you're already in a relationship or in a dating relationship, ask yourself, like, do I have some of these wounds? And one of the ways that you know that you do it, or that it's possible that you do, is how you behave when there is conflict. Like,
mm.
are you making something that on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 3, but you're acting like it's a 9 or a 10, or it feels like it's a 9 or a 10 to you? A lot of times that's an indication that, one of those soul wounds are probably being triggered, or on board, and there needs to be some healing.
Wow. You just went so deep with that. A soul wound. I have never heard of that at all.
Yeah, Google it. I mean, when you Google things, be careful though, because I think Google has like people reading an article or listening to a show like this or something like
Yeah.
that, and getting on there, writing up an article and putting stuff in there that's not accurate or shouldn't be in there. So be careful, but you can Google it and, put in the 5 soul wounds. And if one of your listeners Google it, let me know what's the one that I'm missing. It's abandonment, rejection, humiliation, injustice. Oh, and betrayal. Yeah, betrayal. Betrayal is all of them are big ones, but yeah, those are just really hard. And if you find that you have that, submit yourself to a process and allow yourself the deep healing that you need, because walking around with these wounds do tend to govern a person's life. There's probably careers you're missing out on. There's probably friendships you're missing out on. There's probably the love of your life out there that is right in your face, and you're missing out on it because you're so busy protecting this little thing
Yeah.
over here, that really it just takes, just like any operation, put it on the operating table, look at it, open it up, clean it out, put some medicine in, and sew it back up, and give yourself time to heal. Like, it's, surgery for some people, because it's physical, it can feel like a piece of cake, which it never is. It's always traumatic, no matter how small the surgery is. But emotional healing can be a lot tougher
Yeah.
than, physical healing, because physical healing is right there, it's in your face, there's an answer. Whereas emotional healing, sometimes you got to go so deep to get to the root of what has happened, so that you can come out on the other side.
Wow. Tracy, you blown me away on this one. I know they're in the comments like, oh my goodness, she is deep with this thing. I'm at the point to where when I see this, I do believe that exact same thing, because I known people who may have entered in and got a soul wound because of relationships, betrayal,
Mhm.
abandonment, all of this other stuff, and they never fully, recovered from that. And there are some people either where they had something in their past, where it was a father missing, whether it was a mother not being there, siblings or something, and then they went into a relationship, got hurt into the relationship, and then decided to, instead of them stopping, I'm just going to go pick up and go try to date the next person. Is that helping any of those soul wounds if they've never been attentive and never went on ahead and had the right treatment?
Not at all. Well, one of the reasons that people go ahead and get into another relationship is because when you get into a new relationship, you have all those feel good chemistry uh, chemicals going through your brain. Like oxytocin is a bonding chemical. And so, like a new person that, totally gets you, or is, giving you compliments and making you feel good about yourself and giving you time and energy, that is going to feel good. And while there's nothing wrong with that, if you use that to cover over the pain that's there, it doesn't get rid of the pain. The only thing that gets rid of the pain is dealing with it.
Mm,
Just like you can't have let me try to think of a surgery that's not gross. You can't have like a tooth that needs a filling or a root canal, and then just keep putting tooth polish on it, expecting it to go away. That filling, that what started out as just like a small cavity, will grow into a bigger cavity.
mm.
And instead of just needing a filling, now you need a root canal. Or instead of you needing a root canal, Now you have to pull the whole tooth out
Yeah.
and put in a fake one, put in something in its place. And so emotional issues can be like that. Like you either deal with it when it presents, or it is going to grow into something that's unmanageable, and it can end up making you have a life that you never set out to have, whether that's a life of loneliness or a life in an abusive relationship.
Mm,
The thing about healing, the reason people can be afraid is it hurts. It
yeah.
hurts to look at all this stuff and to feel that emotional pain, having that lump in your heart or that lump in your gut. But let me give you some encouragement. 9 times out of 10, what you need is to get in the fetal position and cry, like
Mm,
bawl your eyes out, like go to therapy, talk with somebody that has a good set of tools to help you to really look at these things, bring in some healing, and then go home and let it out. Like, don't just talk to your therapist, have some wise person in your life, that knows what to say, and someone that's has a good and close relationship with God, that's
mm,
connected to the Holy Spirit. Because the more you talk about these things, the more it comes out, the more you process it, and the more you can be done with it and at peace. And it is going to hurt, but it's only going to hurt for a time. And then you move into a period of, well, it doesn't hurt
yeah.
anymore. It might still make you feel sad, but that deep pain is starting to subside. Just like when someone close to you dies, if you
Mhm.
grieve properly, you'll never forget the person, but there will come a time when you can think about them without crying. There
Yeah.
will come a time when and even if you do cry, it might be a misting of the eyes or your eyes, watering. Like my aunt Carolyn, who played a big role in raising us, her holiday was Christmas. Like she always hosted. And every year, like she died in 2000,
Mm,
and every year Mariah carries I Miss You Most at Christmas.
mm.
'Cause I miss
Yep.
you.
Yep. Yep.
Most that Christmas time. And every time I hear that, I would think of T. Carolyn for like 10 years. And I would just
Mm,
like cry, and just boo-hoo cry. But that's how much needed to come out, and I would allow myself. And, if I wasn't in therapy, I'd go check in with my therapist and,
mhm.
talk about her and process it and talk about what she meant to me. And if it weren't for her, I wouldn't be this or that. And, she was a force, a good force, in my life. And but eventually, like this year, I was thinking about her. I was driving home from Target or something, and that came on. Mariah's song came on the radio, and I teared up. But it wasn't like I wasn't hunched over the steering wheel. And I don't think I've been hunched over, with the song for a few years, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Like it took forever,
Yeah.
to be able to hear that song and not wish that she were not here, or that she were here. I mean, and I still don't, I've accepted that, she's in heaven, and one
Yeah.
of the worst things you can tell a person that has lost like that is that they're in a better place, especially when they first die. Nobody wants to hear that,
Yeah.
because the place that they want them is
Yeah.
here with them, right?
Yeah.
But now I can say that to myself. Like, I know she is, in a place that deserves her more than this earth deserved
Yeah.
her, you know?
I mean, you're touching on so much stuff. Do you believe that? Because my wife used to cry so much because her father passed away 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. And every time she heard a Luther Vandross song, Dance for My
Mm.
Father,
Oh my
or
gosh.
even Just the Two of Us, which you know that just the two of us, we can
Yeah.
make. She would go to start crying.
Yeah.
And over the years, we got married, we had kids, and boom, you seen this more, firmer of her. Like, man, I can almost smile. I can get the water eyes in my eyes and make cry a couple tears. But I'm thankful over those times. Do
Yeah.
you think that there is a disconnect where, because people haven't let out that release or that great cry, or being able to release that to somebody, that they just stop themselves? Because in our culture, for men, we're taught to be tough, rough. If you see showing emotions and seeing you cry, or you a punk, you understand,
Mhm.
or you're
Yeah.
getting ready to get beat up on. Do you think that there are some men, just being real, who are watching the broadcast, who's going to be out here, that may need to be in touch with those feelings like that because a trauma experience happened in their life that they may need to let go?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing about emotional pain is it will not be ignored.
Mm,
It'll just come out in other ways. You know, for men, a lot of times it comes out in workaholism.
mhm,
Sometimes it comes out in running around, and the running around is not necessarily always that he's a dog. There might
mhm,
be some kind of character stuff in there, but that kind in most behavior that's what we would call bad or hurtful is a symptom of something deeper. And so in working with some men, I found that the running around behavior is often just looking for that hit of feeling good about
mhm,
themselves, like that hit, that high, so to speak, to mask whatever that emotional pain is. So because emotional pain will not be ignored, it'll just come out in other ways that it come out with men. I don't know if I mentioned overworking, but
mhm,
overworking, which leads to burnout.
mhm,
You know, it might come out in drinking
mhm,
or abusing drugs. It might come out in anger,
mhm,
like manifesting where they just have a hair trigger response to the people in their life. And in the moment, it feels like you're angry about whatever it is you're angry about, and maybe you are, maybe whatever it is you're angry about is legitimate. But again, if on a scale of 1 to 10 what you're angry about is a 3 or 4, but you're responding as if it's a 10 or 11,
mhm,
then there might be some emotional pain that's under there, because again, emotional pain will not be ignored. It'll just, as many people as there are, there's different manifestations of it. So you would have to identify yours. Like for some people it's overachieving, you
mhm.
know, like constantly getting degrees or constantly on the go having projects, bigger and bigger projects, because they're trying to escape whatever it is that's trying to surface.
Mm. So is there a way, because we have a lot of like couples, they watch every time you come on, Miss Tracy. Is there a way that a couple can actually say, hey, let me help you out with this, or let us begin the healing process together, or you're not in it alone? Is there a way that the wife or husband or the boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, who dating, they can actually go to the other one to start to say, hey, let me try to help be your crutch to get you out of this so we can
Yeah.
have a more better relationship?
It would depend on how deep the wound goes. Like if it's a deep wound, if it's something where one or the other has been traumatized and that trauma is showing up in their relationship, I would say start with a therapist or
Mhm,
a pastoral counselor that has experience
mhm.
working with couples, because not all pastors are equipped for that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what ends up happening is you might hear stuff like, well, you need to pray more, or you need to submit,
Mhm,
or whatever, right?
mhm,
Without really addressing the issue. So I would say if it's something deep, either go and get professional help, or at least reach out to a person of the cloth that has experience working with that. But one of the ways that you can be there for each other is having a time of communication where you are talking about your thoughts and feelings, you are talking about your experiences, and being there for your partner, validating what they experienced, validating their feelings, and maybe even encouraging them to go and get some individual counseling to
mhm,
work through that, but making yourself available. Like one of the tools that I use in my practice is something called the marriage systems check.
mhm,
And I didn't come up with it. It's something that I learned. My church used to do this thing called Marriage for Dummies,
mhm.
and it was kind of like something to help couples, but to reach out to couples in the community. Do you remember those books like Excel for Dummies and
Yeah.
Word
Yeah.
Processing for Dummies? Well,
Yeah.
someone wrote a book called Marriage for Dummies, and I think it came out of there, where just like you would check the system of your car, like you take your car and you check the oil, you check the
Mhm.
water, you check all the fluids and stuff like that. The marriage systems check is designed to be a weekly tool that you use as a couple. And there's like 8 or 9 different things on there that you go through and talk about. But one of the items on there is where you discuss your feelings and you
Mhm.
discuss things that have been coming up in your mind, with your partner, and your partner is to be a safe space and listen. And there's things that will come up where, you can help one another, to process it and get it out and discuss it and things like that. But then sometimes there's things that come up where you can encourage one another to either go get some help with it together
Mm.
or to go and see about getting some individual counseling on the issue.
I have known where there has been people in relationships straight up, and they said, I'm with the person, but it's them that is causing me to have to go get counseling. And they don't want to go on ahead and get counseling because they just feel that I need an extra push from an outside source, right?
Mhm.
And you've probably dealt with people like that. Hey, they believe that there's nothing wrong with them. The other one believes that there's nothing wrong with them. How can someone actually get that type of counseling in a relationship or courting or whatever the case may be so that they can actually get the necessaries to be able to move forward in life, whether it's together or whether it's apart?
Mhm. Well, there's two things. There could be two things going on with that. One is a person can't really get help with something unless they're aware
Mm,
that, awareness is the first step in the healing process. And sometimes people are not aware, like other people around them
mhm,
can be aware and see that something needs to change. But if the person that needs the change is not aware, either most of the time what that is called is denial.
mhm,
And in the culture at large, we think of denial as a bad thing, but
mhm,
denial is one of the first thing we learn in psychology.
mhm,
And when you're getting your master's or doctorate in psychology, denial is actually a defense mechanism.
mm,
And the reason it is there, it's defending the person against handling something that they either don't have the resources or tools to handle, or they are not yet equipped to handle. So one of the first things they teach you in psychology school is to don't take away people's denial
mhm,
before it's time, because people can come in to work on one thing, but then you as the clinician, you can see that something is deeper or something is different, and you may even be able to see what it is, but
mhm,
you have to use your clinical judgment as to whether or not that person might be ready to put that on the table and look at it. And you can tell, like with experience, you can tell when it's time to broach that or bring that up. So
mhm,
if you're in a relationship with someone and you clearly
mhm,
see that something's wrong, or something needs to be dealt with, it might not be a good idea to take away the person's denial. And denial
mm,
will show up in that they actually cannot see it, or they're minimizing the impact of it, or saying it's not a big deal. So
mm,
sometimes that's what's going on. Like there's just no awareness, or there is an awareness and they're in denial about the fact that it needs to change, like it's not a big deal. The other thing that can be going on is your partner may be causing you to go to therapy.
mm,
Like, and I don't know if I heard that two ways. My partner's causing me to go to therapy. I heard my
mhm,
partner, you were saying either my partner is insisting that I go to therapy or trying to make me go
mhm,
to therapy, or my partner's behavior is driving me crazy,
yeah,
also
yep,
making me go to therapy.
yep,
So your partner might be insisting that you go to therapy because they see something, but you can only deal with something when you're ready. I mean, you can go and maybe the therapeutic process will help you get in a place to be ready to deal with it. But if you're in a situation where your partner's behavior is driving you crazy, there's a little bit of truth in that whatever it is your partner is doing or saying, if it's driving you crazy, it's probably because there's something already in there. And
mm,
they're just finding a match to something that's already in there. It might be something that you've buried, think you buried successfully, or you've put on the back of your shelf, the back shelf of your mind, and you don't have to deal with it. but your partner's driving you crazy, they're not doing anything to make you anything. Like I always tell people, there's nothing on the outside of you that can make you do or feel anything. Is what you're thinking of. And so if your partner is doing something that's driving you crazy, it's because they're just dredging up something that's already in there and forcing it to the surface, and that's actually a good thing. Like I read this book called Sacred Marriage by Gary Thomas, and I think the subtitle was, either this was a subtitle or this was the premise of the book. I don't remember, but the title is Sacred Marriage. And it's, God didn't make marriage to make you happy. He created marriage to make you holy.
Amen.
Because in your marriage, some of the things that's in your character and in your past and in your way of being will never manifest at work or out there in the world or even with your closest friend. But your spouse, your God chosen spouse, hopefully, has a way of
Hopefully.
bringing that to the surface like nobody else will. So like when that does happen, instead of being aggravated with your spouse or even being aggravated with yourself, feeling like I'm not a good partner, I can't do this right, try a different perspective and ask yourself, well, what holiness is God trying to manifest? And the only holiness is a purification process. So whatever is in there that needs to come up and needs to come out, it's impeding who you were originally intended to be, which is a holy child of God. Like most people think that holiness is just going to happen on the other side of life. And I'm sure it does. I'm sure there's a deeper process of that, but it's something that's supposed to be starting here.
Okay, so I'm giving you stuff because I get a lot of wonderful conversations with people. There is, what about in everything, man? If you get to a part, you're with a couple, the couple is together, and the masking of the success, like you just said, is behind what they do, and you point it out to them. Hey, we're trying to get help, and it becomes an argument, and it becomes a consistent argument. Is there any help for someone like that that's in that predicament, that really does not want to listen to anybody else? They fail to believe that their success is their achievement or is their biggest crown. Is there any help for someone like that may be out here in a relationship like that?
Well, if I'm doing therapy with a couple and one of the people is like that, I ask a lot of questions, because one of the beliefs that I have is that people already have the answers. My job is to peel away the layers that's covering that answer. And so usually, especially if it's something specific, like, my accomplishment is my crowning achievement, and because of this accomplishment, I'm awesome, and I'm not trying to hear, any kind of, ridicule, or because I'm just the best or whatever. My biggest suspicion with that would be that accomplishment or that view is covering something that's tender and vulnerable, and that person doesn't want that, so they're hiding behind that accomplishment. A lot of times, what's the word? Not grandiosity. When a person is full of themselves, what's the word for that?
Cocky?
Yes, yeah. A lot of times, cockiness is is a mask. As a mask for something that's more tender and more vulnerable underneath. And so I'll ask questions to try to get the person to see that for themselves, so that they can begin to start working on what's really the matter, so to speak. If that doesn't work, sometimes what I'll do is have the partner take a break from therapy, and then I just work with the one that is there and obviously want to work. And so we do work on them, what's going on with them, and help them to start to heal. Because when you're married, when you're one. And so if one part of the body is sick, the whole body is sick, right? But if one part of the body rejoices, the whole body rejoices,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so if you are the one that's in therapy and you're making changes and you're healing and you're growing, that is going to have an impact on the relationship. Hopefully, it will have a
Mhm.
positive impact, but it doesn't always have a positive impact. And so I usually warn couples in this situation and say one of four things is going to happen. If you're
Mhm.
in here by yourself getting well, you either your partner is going to see that and want some of
Mhm.
that for themselves, and that's the best. And so then they'll come back in and they'll want to work through the process or do some of their own individual work, whether that's with me or one of the other therapists. Or your partner will see the changes and feel like you're a different person. This isn't what I
Mhm.
signed up for. This isn't what I married. I'm out.
Mhm.
Or your partner will see that you're making the changes
Mhm.
and want none of it. And you are getting so much healing and progressing so much that the situation that you're currently in becomes intolerable and you'll leave.
Mhm.
And I never tell anybody to leave. It's
Mhm.
it's always up to them. Even when people are like, "Do you think I should leave, Miss Tracy?" I'm like, "I think
Yeah.
that you should figure out what it is you want to do with your
Yeah.
life."
Yeah.
Right? Or four, the fourth thing is your partner see these changes and see how it's impacting you, but he doesn't leave, you don't leave. You two just kind of sit in it and just start existing, in
Mhm.
the marriage where you become two ships that's passing in the night. Like in those situations, especially like with empty nesters, people might even move into another bedroom. Like they're
Yeah.
still occupying the house but there's no connection because they've grown further apart than when they came in, for therapy. And I always warn, like, if both of you guys aren't working, these are one of the four that could happen. Hopefully, it's the first one. Some people
Mhm.
move out but don't get a divorce. They just kind of separate, and nobody can afford to do that here in California. You have to either get it because, it's really hard. The housing is so expensive here. But in
Mhm.
places where people can kind of swing that happens a
Mhm.
lot, where they just separate.
We talked about that on the last broadcast on Tuesday night. The different types of loves. There was romantic love, which is I can't even think of the name of it. There's eros,
Eros.
agape, ludus, and all of that. And then there's that one type of love for that longevity amount of time, like you said, they're just living and existing. What happens though when a couple, and this is truth, and I know you get it, you just said it, that they come to you and they ask for divorce, but what happens a couple in a longevity period, they literally saying, you know what, this is just not working out. We really need to go on ahead and divorce. Where do they go from that point?
Well, sometimes they just go ahead and file, and then sometimes they'll find a divorce mediating therapist. And I actually have a friend, that's what she specializes in, like
Mhm.
helping people to amicably disconnect. I think there's a phrase for it now. Someone just mentioned, I think it was Tuesday as well. Someone just mentioned it, but I can't think of what it is. Where they go and they just separate in a healthy way. Like they go to a therapist and the therapist helps them to separate all their belongings, not legally, but just like talk
Mhm.
about what it is they want to do. One of the ways I help people, I have this program called Two Homes, One Heart,
Mm.
whereby I help parents to go through their divorce, or if they're already divorced, navigate this new life in a way that puts the children first. So I teach
Yeah.
them things about not using the children against one another,
Mhm.
making sure that the children have, adequate access to both of you, like not just living with one and then just going to see the other one every other weekend. Like if you're in different cities that's far apart, that might not be able to be helped. But one of the things that I've seen that works the best with couples that I've worked with is if one of the parents stay in the house that the kids are being raised in, and you just wait until you're empty nesters, and then you can sell the house and split it or whatever. But if one person stays in the house that the
Mhm.
kids have been growing up in, and because you want to let there be as much stability and normalcy as
Mhm.
possible, and then the other of the couple either rents an apartment that's in the same school district
Mhm.
or nearby, rents a house that's nearby, or even buys another house that's nearby, whatever your situation is, so that the kids can come and go to either house.
Yeah.
You want on paper, like if you're in a relationship with someone that's just conflictual all the time, then you definitely want to write out when the days are. And I always tell people, even if you're in an amicable situation, still write it out. Still
Yeah.
have on paper every other weekend here and every other weekend there, and Wednesday night dinner here or whatever. But then if you're living close enough together, then you could do what you want. Like the kids can
Yeah.
come and go, but just have it on paper in case conflict arises. But if you can do it well and do it amicably, then do that.
Yeah. I've got a lot of people who are in that situation like right now. They're like, listen, Lambo, we really just want to go on ahead and just, continue to keep moving forward. They ready to go find something else, somebody who's gonna really love them for them. Still not, I think it's just done. And my wife had put it down here what that was called practical love, which is long lasting, where
Mm-hmm.
people just exist in the same household.
Yeah.
They got the kids, they got all of that stuff, and they're just fine. Hey, we're just gonna exist. We're gonna sleep in these two separate beds. You're gonna be you. I'm gonna be me. I got people right now, this day, in those same exact things. I got couples right now. They go in the same house together with each other, working good jobs, and they do not speak at all.
Mm.
Do not speak. And they're trying to get out of these situations and stuff like that. They're trying to say, hey, listen, we understand this. It's just cheaper for us to live right now. Most places rent is so high, especially
Mhm.
where you at, mortgages are so high. They
Mhm.
really don't want to split nothing up. Or it may be the case of the kids. Hey, I really don't want to move forward because of the kids' sake. And we're just trying to just wait out things right now till things get a lot better in their life. Those people, man, what do you say to them to help encourage them, or either allow them to help make a decision, a sound decision that's best for them, themselves, their families?
Well, if they're doing that and it's working out financially and it's working out relationally, then I would say do what is working until you're in a position to be able to split up, and be in different houses. One of the
Mhm,
things that you said that was a little bit of a pink flag is if you're doing this and you're not speaking to
mhm,
each other, then that's probably creating a lot of tension in the
mhm,
house. And it's probably not good for the kids to be around energy that's like that. But if
mhm.
you're staying together and deciding to have the what did she call it? Practical love.
Practical love is what it's called. Yes.
If you're doing that, but then you can still be amiable with one another and friendly and speak and say good morning and leave and still be able to, then
Mhm,
that's a whole other story. But if there's the tension of you're not speaking to each other and there's this low level seething hostility underneath the surface, then that can create a lot of toxicity within the
mhm,
home, within you and your partner as individuals, that will seep into the children,
mhm.
and affect them. And it would be better to figure, if you can't talk, like if you can't do it in a friendly way and a connected way where you understand that you still love and respect each other as people, you just can't be partners,
Yeah.
then it might be better to figure out what to do to not be under the same roof,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I got couples who've got no kids. They've got great in their profession. They're both doing good,
Mhm.
and they live like that. And I,
Well,
I don't understand it.
if it works and it's not causing, emotional turmoil or whatever, you just have to be honest with yourself in a situation like that. Like,
Mhm.
is this working for me and why is this working? And how do I really feel
Mhm.
about, what's going on, you know?
Yeah, yeah. All facts on that. Tracy, you definitely you brought a lot to the table today. I know this has just been amazing. You've helped in everything. A lot of people out there, more than what you ever know. From some of even the questions that I literally went ahead and brought up for some of the listeners who are out there who won't go on ahead and ask a question like that, but will come to me to ask a question, so I can ask it to you.
Yeah,
Hope,
yeah.
hopefully I articulated it well for those who are out there, man, who definitely wanted those questions asked and stuff like that for you being on the broadcast. So I thank you, Miss Tracy, for that. Listen, I forgot all of these people who were in here, and look at this. Look at this. You know, I'm not even gonna go here. Thanks all. We just take action. Thank you, Jamal Titus, for that. That is really amazing, man. Hearing that from you. Quentin Patterson says she can pick on me. Yeah. Quentin, shout out to you, Quentin, my guy QP. Exactly. Let them know. And Q says, man, it lets them know that they are present and they're with them. This is when you were actually speaking earlier of the communications and actually, giving a full dialect of that. Like people need to know that of what direction and what to do and how to communicate with people. So thank you for that great analogy. Shout out to my guy T Huge. He's in the building. I see you, man. Haven't seen you in some time, but good to see you, brother. Always a pleasure for you to come on this Leverage Show and show us some love, man. He's always my guy, man. Shout out to him. I want my South Carolina barbecue down there too, Trey Hughes. Come on now. QP say this was good. Whoa. Yeah, hey, listen. Tracy was going to come with it. You already know she was coming with it tonight. That's what she do. LA Law say, hi, Tracy. It was good to see you. You know what time it is. Showing love right back to my guy, Tracy. My wife says we wasted our time watching that movie. It was, the reading was definitely, I want to know your take on that the next time when you come back to the show. Okay. And let us know and everything, man, about that. Sharon said you didn't like it. I haven't seen it yet. Yes, we ain't going to go on ahead. If you guys haven't seen the reading yet with Monique, make sure y'all possibly go and watch it if y'all can stand it. But we're going to let somebody dissect it more like Tracy. My wife said, don't waste your time, Tracy. She's literally.
Now, watch her watch it and then come back and be like, oh, it was great.
You know what? Because you're seeing it in a different standpoint of what most people were seeing it as, and you seen her trying to go through some therapy and all. Like it was very weird and stuff like that, man. But it was a lot of stuff which you probably deal with. So
yeah. I'll check it out, and next time I think it'll be April.
Yeah.
I'll be back in April.
Let us know because we're excited. My wife says hi, Tracy Hughes. You already know. Hi. QP says betrayal. That is definitely one of those key things that I have a lot of people who are, I've got a lot of people, man, who've been married 20, 30, 40 years, and betrayal, once they hear that, it's still like the stake in the ground for them. I've got couples who were only married just a few years, and that betrayal to them, they could never really move past that. Neither try to open their heart for the next relationship.
Yeah. It's kind of like dying. It's like I think zombie movies and TV shows like The Walking Dead are popular because it resonates with people. There's a lot of people that are walking dead, like they're living and breathing, but they're not relating. They've cut themselves off and they're just not living life to the full, you know?
Yeah. And that's what
stuff like betrayal.
That's what betrayal will do to you, man. I've seen it from the worst of them and the best of them. My guy Kanari Haney with the Flames, he already know, man. He's in the building. Trey Hughes, you say, man, good evening, Mrs. Johnson in LA. Thank you, T. Hughes, man. Showing love to my wife here in LA Law. You know what time it is. Kanari Haney says, how much do I owe you for this session, doctor? Thank you so much. This is gooder than good.
Thank you. Nothing though. Just, just take some of what you've learned and figure out how can you apply it in your own relationships and in your own life. And that would be payment enough.
Yeah. Hey, you already know. Tracy, you just say cry. That is gold. Yes. A good cry is what's needed a lot. Let's talk about the importance of letting emotions go before we go.
Yeah. I remember watching this episode of Everyone Loves Raymond, and I forget his wife's name, but his Patricia, well, that's her real name, but she was sitting on the couch just crying, and Raymond was looking in the window at her and just not knowing what to do and just like freaking out and then trying to come in and cheer her up and stuff like that because he thought he had done something terribly wrong and stuff. And so he just kept tripping over himself, trying to make it better. And then finally she goes, no, I just cry. Sometimes just things just build up and the pressure builds and I just give myself a release. I just let myself let it go. And all she was doing was crying. Like I had a client in here today and, she said she had scheduled a massage. She had gone to take a massage. She had massages before, but she always thought of them as a waste of time and not being able to, be there. But there's so much going on in her life now. And she went to the massage place and everyone was so kind and it just made her cry. Like they were like giving her her robe and showing her to this area of the spa and that area and blah, blah, blah. And she just said she was just crying. Like, and I was
Yeah.
like, those are old tears. Those are tears
Yeah.
of pent up sadness that you're the one that's always taking care of everyone and nobody takes care of you. And she goes, that's exactly what I felt like.
Yeah.
Nobody ever takes care of me. And here she was at this spa and they're, Mrs. So-and-so this, let's go do this, Mrs. So-and-so. And it just felt so good, and it
Yeah.
was just a place for her to just release. Some people can do it by working out, going for a good run, running on the treadmill, lifting some weights, because what happens is the endorphins that you get from that will displace some of that, negative emotion. My assistant Emily was saying that because my assistant's a musician, like my husband.
Okay.
And she was saying that one morning she woke up and she was just really just aggravated and just blue. And then she went to the gym before coming to work and then she was fine. And she was like, well, nothing changed. The only thing that changed was her chemistry, and so like my husband, like sometimes he can be just kind of, Eeyore, but that's
Yeah.
just in his nature. Like that's in
Yeah.
his nature and we all are like that. Like someone wrote an article about how we're all one of the characters on Winnie the Pooh. Like some
Yeah.
of us are Winnie the Pooh, some of us are Christopher Robin and
Oh yeah.
all the different personality types and stuff like that. And so knowing what is your personality type and what's the bent of your temperament, when certain things like that come up, just go take care of yourself. Like do what is needed. Like for me, I will take a mental health day, which means that I'm not sick, but I won't schedule anything and I will just be at home. I won't run errands. I'll be at home and just sit on my couch and read or watch, 1,000 episodes of something or whatever, just to decompress and just take a mental health day,
I think that is so key, Tracy. I really do. Because what you just said, I think a lot of the times we don't take that because we're constantly dealing with stuff on top of dealing with stuff and never going ahead and giving that self-gratification or satisfaction to ourselves, that time out that we need to kind of like, focus away from that. So thank you for that, Tracy.
Yeah, you're welcome. I learned that as an intern. I was fortunate enough to work for a mental health facility that encouraged us to take mental health days so that we're not using our sick, and they would pay for it. You would have a paid, to not use our sick days or to not call in and lie and say you're sick when you're not, and not use vacation days, but just to take a mental health day. And you got so many like a year to do that with. And yeah, I used all of mine.
Hey, I know that's right. Look, I'm still working. I'm gonna just take a mental health day just to be taking one, man.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, T Huge, man, for sending that answer. That's a real man's answer. Cry. That's gold. That's the goal. I love that. I love that. QP says she's dope. You know she is. That's Miss Tracy.
Thanks, QP.
Oh, awesome. It will come in other ways, and yes, it does come out in so many other ways and stuff like that when things are bottled up inside of us, and which can be negative or positive. So shout out for that. For you actually saying that. T Huge, I see you with the super chat. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for that super chat, man. A $25 super chat. Showing love in the building, man. Always on the Leverage Show. We appreciate y'all for everything that y'all do. Cutie Pie Potato for Life with another super chat. Shout out to you, Cutie Potato for Life, for that super chat. Truly amazing. Thank y'all. Always showing love on the Leverage Show. My wife did say, practical love, long lasting. She said there are mixed reviews about the movie, Tracy. So yes. Yeah. There are a lot of mixed reviews. Some people say that was the best movie Monique has ever did since she got canceled or blackball out there. My guy is Isidro. Shout out to you, Isidro, man. Thank you, Dr. Taris. My guy is Isidro. Showing love. You know what time it is. Kenar Haney says, looking forward to that book. Yes. Listen, you got to get that next book that she's going to be writing. If y'all haven't got this book, y'all got to get it. Hopefully y'all see it. Many voices, one truth. Y'all gotta go order y'all book. I've got mine. My wifey has hers. We got ours in this house. And trust me, not just looking at it, go read it. Pick it up because it's truly an amazing, amazing gift. Tracy, where can people buy the book for those and everything, man, who may not know or maybe didn't get a chance to buy the book the last time?
It's mostly on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. But if you Google it, I Googled it the other day, and it's on all kinds of platforms for sale. But Amazon is the biggest one.
Okay. Amazon is the biggest one. And that book is called Many Voices, One Truth by Tracy Taris. Again, y'all make sure y'all go ahead and Google it. I'm putting it right here. Y'all can see it. Many Voices, One Truth. Many Voices, One Truth by Tracy Taris. Y'all make sure y'all go get y'all a copy. Go support and everything, Miss Tracy, and everything that she's doing. Trust me, she put a lot of great content in here. So y'all will definitely go ahead and thank me later. Shout out to you. Kennard Haney say thank you for the book that you sent him. Remember, he was the winner the last
one. I thought it was him. Yeah.
Kennard and Kim wind up got it. Ken, you got to let us know, did you and Kim get a chance? Kennard reads so much and he's always busy. Let me know if you and Kim got a chance to crack that book open yet. I really would love to know that.
Would I be able to put something in the chat?
Yeah, put something in the chat. Go ahead. You can paste it and I can put it right. I can put it on here.
Oh, I don't see where. I'm sorry.
Just go to the private chat.
Oh, the private chat. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm writing it.
Okay, awesome.
In case I wrote the subscribe thing wrong. Okay.
I got you. You already know. I got you. I'm taking great care of you. You already know, Miss Tracy. We got you covered on here and stuff like that. We're gonna make it do what it do. Okay. There we go. All right. Boom. And I just went on ahead and got you right. We are in here. All right. So Miss Tracy says you guys can go to her website and subscribe at www.tracytaris.com. Again, y'all can go to her website and subscribe to www.tracytaris.com. Make sure y'all guys can go on ahead. Y'all guys will find a lot of great information on there. Is your social media links on there as well, Tracy?
No, I'm at tracytaris.com. I'm sorry. I'm at Tracy Taris on Instagram and at Healing the Mind and Spirit on Instagram.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
y'all make sure y'all go like, subscribe, follow that channel as well on her IG, because she definitely is always coming out with some amazing things and really dropping some key gems that are really on there. I'm telling y'all would really love it. You literally, my good friend, is good friend to the show, Nikki. She's definitely got in contact with you and said she truly loved it. So shout out to Be Well with Nikki. She's always on the show and stuff like that, and just ripped and raved so much about you. So thank you for definitely inspiring and empowering her life, because this truly was a blessing. So go to the website. Y'all go ahead, make sure y'all go subscribe, man. www.tracytaris.com. and let Tracy go ahead and bless your life. I'm telling you, it's definitely going to bless a lot of people with this.
Yeah.
Kennard Haney say, looking forward to the book. Thank you. The book you sent me. I see say, living life to the full. I love that. Thank you, Sidro. Thank you. QP say, so she's taken, Lambo. She better be. She's got a wonderful husband, amazing man. I love Tracy and her wonderful family. Always speaks about them. And definitely God's hand has been on their life, and they're doing great things. So shout out and everything, man, to the husband that's holding it all down. Thank you. T. Hughie say, Tracy, I love how your book points us to the real power, the Holy Spirit.
I love the Holy Spirit. Yeah, I go through different feeling closely to different parts of God at different times in my life, whether it's God the Father or Jesus or the Holy Spirit. And right now it's definitely a close connection with the Holy Spirit.
Amen. Keep
Mhm.
that there. That's that close relationship.
Yeah.
That man, it's a different ball game when you're actually flowing in all of them. My
Yeah.
wife said yes. She already knowing. I know she's laughing about this. That book. She's knowing what she's doing. And my wife said, "Thank you for joining us tonight, Tracy."
Oh, you're
Sure,
welcome. Thanks for having me, Renata.
you already know. You already know. My guy Kennard Haney say, Lambo, thank you for keeping me accountable. We had not cracked the book for Miss Taris' book yet, but we will let you know for sure when we do. Hey, thank you, Ken, for going ahead and say. Ken has a lineup of books. I'm not lying, throughout the month that he's already be picking, and he may have like 3 or 4 of them lined up. So trust me, he's an avid reader. He's not one of them and everything that's not an avid reader. He's on it. So
Yeah.
thank you, Kennard. You and Ken, y'all go on ahead, man, and crack that book open, man. When y'all get a chance to let us know and everything, man, truly what you think about it, because it truly was a blessing, man. And for him winning that, oh, Ken, you know you better go ahead and crack it open. You understand? Tracy, you just said, how do you relate to a Sabbath to mental health days?
Oh, wow. Yeah. A Sabbath. Oh, that'll probably be a whole other show. Like maybe we can talk about, but in the nutshell, what I learned about the Sabbath is that um okay, so several times I've brought up in therapy with people who are having sleep problems
Mhm.
the idea that the quality of your day begins the night before
Mm.
with rest and with sleep. And then I realized, because I didn't read that anywhere or see that anywhere, it just came to me. And I realized that it was Holy Spirit inspired, because when I was looking at information on the Sabbath, I learned that God sees the beginning of the day as the night before.
Mm.
And so when the Jews do a Sabbath, they start on Friday night. And I found that um, that was correct. The quality of any day starts the
Mhm.
night before, but having a Sabbath is so good for you psychologically and for your mental health, and it's so good for your relationships. Like they did research on centenarians, and centenarians are people that live to be over 100 years old. And then there's like 5 or 7 hotspots on the planet, and one is in Japan, somewhere near Okinawa. And I forget what all the other hot spots are, but one is in Loma Linda, California, which is totally random. Like Loma Linda is about an hour or so from me. And the reason Loma Linda made the list is because it's a high population of Seventh-day Adventists, and
Mm.
Seventh-day Adventists always take their Sabbath.
Yeah.
So one of they found in the research that not only is a Sabbath good for you spiritually and mentally, it's also good for you physically, because that high population of Seventh-day Adventists, they have a lot of centenarians living in that community.
Wow.
Mhm.
He told me something I didn't know. When we go to California, I know where we're going to.
Well, you can't just go and be there. You got to do what they're doing.
Oh, you got to do what they're doing.
At Sabbath, and and Seventh-day Adventists, most of them typically eat well. Like they're
Yeah.
typically not putting a lot of processed stuff, in their bodies and stuff like that.
Well, I guess in everything we're gonna enjoy this chicken. That's right, chicken. With a good Lord ready to go ahead and take me, you know what time it is. No, we eating good. We eating good, healthy over here. So QP says, "Amen." Shout out to you, QP. Love you for that. Kennard Haney says, "Just subscribe." Shout
Thank
out to
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yes, everybody, please go subscribe. Please, please, please go
Well,
like and
the
subscribe.
reason, can I share the reason that I'm asking that?
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm asking that is because there is a game that publishing houses play nowadays, whereby you have to have these large email subscription lists in order for them to consider publishing your book. Like Many Voices, One Truth, my agent said pretty much, there were some publishing houses that were like, no, that's not a good fit for us. But everyone that it was a good fit for, they wanted it. And they would say things like, because you have to submit this book proposal that pretty much describes what the book is about. We like her. We like that she's a therapist. We like what the book proposal is saying and what the book it has to do. but she doesn't have a large email list. And
Mm-hmm.
so they would pass on it because of that. And so what I'm doing is trying to build my email list, because with my second book proposal, I don't want that to stand in the way. Like, if it's good material that people need and that publishing houses can see that it would be helpful to people, I don't want it to be like, well, she doesn't have a large email subscription list. I think that's kind of silly, but it is what it is with regards to the way it works out there.
It's the craziest thing I've ever heard of.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, if you got a great book, you got a great product, you should be able to take it out there, and there shouldn't be no stipulations or nothing like that, man.
Yeah.
You know, so thank you and everything for that.
Yeah.
QP, Ken got on that book, sir. Yes, he did. Ken did. Ken won that book the last time, which was truly an amazing book that, oh my gosh, it just blessed a lot of people. I'm telling you, I got my book right here. My wife has her book as well. We went got out. We're just not going to be just listeners of it. We're going to be supporters and doers of it. So that's what it's all about, man, and building a community. Trust me, y'all won't go wrong with that book. For those and everything, man, who out there who needs it or who haven't got it yet, please go order that book. Definitely go like and subscribe at www.tracytaris.com, and make sure you guys show us some love. Order your book today. Kenar Haney say cherished. He did. He cherished that book. Him and Kim. I know they did, because Ken always is out here winning some stuff, man. Shout out to the winners who I called out earlier as well, who won those properties. You guys seen it and stuff like that earlier, man. We had another win-a-thon where 7 people won properties and stuff like that for Don LaPlume, who came on here. That I did call him out right? I hope I did. What was the winners? L.A. Law was number 1. My wife was number 2. Tammy Titus is number 3. Errol Milanis was number 4, which is my cousin. Number 5 was Larry Keith. Number 6 was Cynthia Davis. And number 7 was Jamal Titus. So shout out to those winners and stuff like that for also winning the metaverse space as well. So yeah, she bless you, Mrs. Taris and Mr. Taris. You already know. That's what we talking about.
I received that.
Teamwork makes the dream work, man. Thank you, because that's truly a blessing. You got to go ahead and give honor, man, for one and the other one at the same time. When you see one and the other one, that's what it's about and stuff like that, man. Also, to you, just say thank you, Drew. Man, you're so welcome. That's what Lambo does, man. We're making sure that we're going to go ahead and continue to keep pumping you guys with amazing information, amazing guests, especially somebody who's genuine like Miss Tracy Taris. She knows she's out here on the Leverage Show. She's got literally every other month, so she's going to be here. My guy Larry, in the line in the building. Where you been, Larry? Now, I know you be watching from a distance. That's good to know about the email list. Yes, for books and everything. Anybody who wants to know publishing books, especially who's trying to really get themselves out there, definitely going to need that email list now. From what Tracy told her, you told me something I didn't know, but yeah.
Share it on your social medias if you feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, I will. I definitely will. Well, thank you. Listen, Tracy, we are out of time. We're definitely not out of message. The next time when you come back here, it'll be in April. So y'all make sure y'all set y'all clocks. Y'all set y'all reminders, because Tracy will be back on the Leverage Show again, doing what she does, man, and has blessed us almost 2 hours and stuff. Now it's time for you to go ahead and enjoy your family, Miss Tracy. And we don't want to go ahead and interrupt with that, but we thank you, Miss Tracy. Thank you for all that you have went on out here and poured into our lives. And we truly, truly, truly bless you so much, Miss Tracy.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. And thank you for the blessing. I receive it.
You better. If not, we're going to be in trouble out here. Well, listen, y'all, we thank y'all again for another Leverage Show. Again, we coming out here every single week at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We out here doing what we do. Remember, you guys, stay tuned into Motivational Mondays, which will drop on the YouTube channel, and Finance Fridays. And Finance Fridays will be tomorrow. These are short 10-minute segments of actually talk about things that happen in the market, things that happen in the finance space, and things are some opportunities that y'all can take advantage of. So make sure you're definitely tapping in. Make sure you guys definitely go like and subscribe to Miss Tracy Taris' channel at www.tracytaris.com. And make sure y'all go on ahead and follow her on IG at Tracy Taris, or Healing the Mind and Spirit. Healing the Mind and Spirit. Make sure y'all go like And subscribe and follow her, Healing the Mind and Spirit, on IG as well. And make sure y'all, last but not least, go get your copy of your book, Many Voices, One Truth by Mrs. Tracy Taris. All right, y'all will thank me later, man. Listen, we love y'all. Have an amazing, great weekend. We'll see y'all, man, next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on The Leverage Show. We love y'all. Take care. Have an amazing weekend. God bless y'all.